We don't really need Biden, do we? The country moves along. The guys hold up at Camp David. You know, who's running the country? That Politburo is running the country, the usual leftists who are populated throughout the government. I mean, you have a president of the United States, you've got wars going on, the border's wide open, crime is through the roof, the economy's flat on its back, and he can take a week off to prepare for a 90-minute debate? They're going to load him with one-liners. They're going to load him with lies, cheap shots. You're going to see this guy's going to be the Henny Youngman of politics. Today we have, I mean, honestly, folks, CNN and ABC. Biden gets to pick the news network. It's not hard. He can throw a dart and hit any news network. They're all in his camp. But CNN in particular is atrocious. Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, it's interesting. I've been exposing them really for years. There's pro-Hamas positions, the horrendous language they use in describing Trump, Hitler, and so forth, same as they do on MSNBC. People are finally picking up on this. And so the idea that CNN with these two moderators is going to have an honest debate is so unlikely. But even if it turns out to be that way, you don't reward phony journalists who during the course of their broadcast are just so outrageous and outlandish and partisan. But nonetheless, that's where we are. And so we have an empty room. We have those moderators with the ability to cut off the mics. It's all aimed at Trump. And they also said they have the right to enforce comity, C-O-M-I-T-Y, and ensure that the debate is classy, you know, just like CNN, as long as you're not talking to Tubin on the Zoom. And so they have a lot of power. Now, I've talked to a number of really top doctors in my family, as well as one who's not. And I said, look, what do you make of this thing about him taking a shot, that is, medicine, to pump him up for the debate? And to a person, they all said there's absolutely no question about it. And there's multiple drugs that can help him. Amphetamines, Ritalin, other things. And one of them laughed and said, and even cocaine as an example. But they said there's no doubt about it. You're not supposed to use it that way. It can have side effects on the heart and so forth, but they're not illegal if prescribed by a doctor, and you can have dual use. And they said what they saw at the State of the Union, which wasn't a great speech or a great presentation, but was relatively coherent, without too many fumbles and bumbles, that he definitely was medicated. Because when he's not, he's a mess. He can't get people's names right. He's not sure where he is. We've all seen it. And that's the nature of stage 5 dementia out of 7 stages. So there's literally no question in my mind that he is going to be medicated to stimulate, that's what they said, to stimulate the syntaxes in his brain and all the rest of it. I look, just as Justice Jackson isn't a biologist and can't define what a woman is, well, I'm not a doctor and I can't define what these medicines do. So, of course, the morning schmo, Joe Scarborough, immediately runs to Biden's defense, dismisses it all. You know, this guy has become so aggressively bizarre, aggressively in the defense of Biden. It's just, it's unbelievable. It's one thing to say, I don't like Trump, but it's another thing to be so in the tank. The reason is Biden calls him every morning. There was a report on this months ago. Talks to him, you know, and so forth, and they chat with each other. So they have this relationship, which is crazy. Every morning. So MSNBC, the morning schmo, well, Joe blasts Republicans for wondering if Biden's going to be drugged up, because that's what Joe does. Go.
You know, any patient that truly, or, you know, elderly individual or someone that has dementia, they can find some moments of clarity, right? They can find moments throughout the day that they have energy. And I think that Trump's team should not underestimate Joe Biden and his team's ability to you know, whether they're going to jack him up on Mountain Dew or whatever it is. That, look, the State of the Union this year, he had a lot of energy for about an hour or an hour and a half. But it doesn't mean, you know, what we're seeing is obviously throughout the day he can't carry that level of energy.
Okay, so what's so amazing about that, Willie, is that jacked up on Mountain Dew theory did not come from some guy they picked up off the street, right? That was like rolling dice against the side of a wall or something. I'm sitting there halfway through going, who is this guy? He is an elected member of Congress who is on the House Oversight Committee.
Wow.
And he is talking about people being jacked up on Mountain Dew, and they better be careful because...
I'd stop and say he's talking about jacked up on Mountain Dew as a sort of comical parallel or an example that he's going to be jacked up. He doesn't know exactly what the medicines are. I was told what they could be. But so what? He's going to be jacked up. He's going to be given medicine. There's no question in my mind to stimulate his brain and to get his energy going. Otherwise, there's no way they would have proposed this debate. There's simply no way. Go ahead.
Oh,
you know, even old, elderly people can be good every once in a while and
hop up out of the coffin.
They can just hop up and suddenly turn around, and suddenly you have the largest NATO alliance in world history, and you have the best jobs numbers in 50 years.
That can happen too.
They can take a swig of Mountain Dew one moment, the next moment the dollar could be at a 50-year high.
Okay, hold on a second. Maybe they're jacking these two up too. I don't know, because they're on something. I mean, is it happy hour at 6 in the morning over there at MSLSD? Or what are they doing over there? They enjoying the occasional meds? I don't know. But this is one of the stupidest commentaries in 30 seconds I've ever heard. The best job numbers? Joe Biden can't run on his record. He's going to lie about his record. And Donald Trump's difficulty is going to be keeping track of all the lies and all the accusations and attacks. But look at these clowns. Seriously. The best job, guys, 40% of the time he's on vacation. He's holed up for about a week at Camp David. You don't need a week to prepare for a debate. You're the damn president of the United States. Don't you know what's going on in foreign policy and domestic policy? Don't you know what's going on the border? You're supposed to have these long meetings. And the funny thing is, the longest meetings he's ever had is at Camp David preparing for a debate. With at least 16 people. For all I know, it's filled with enough people to fill Met Stadium. I don't know. But it also proves to me we don't really need Biden, do we? The country moves along. The guys hold up at Camp David. You know, who's running the country? That Politburo is running the country, the usual leftists who are populated throughout the government. I mean, you have a president of the United States, you've got wars going on, the border's wide open, crime is through the roof, the economy's flat on its back, and he can take a week off to prepare for a 90-minute debate? They're going to load him with one-liners. They're going to load him with lies, cheap shots. You're going to see this guy's going to be the Henny Youngman of politics. Yeah, let me tell you another one. Boom, 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 boom. And I have to be honest, I've said publicly, I've said to President Trump through the public broadcast process, Joe Biden is going first and not last. Because I believe they want to come out of the box dumping a whole bunch of crap on Trump. Lies about the economy, lies about national security, lies about him legally, and so forth and so on. So much crap thrown against the wall, and then they'll go, President Trump, how do you respond to that? When you're on offense, you don't have to explain things. When you're on defense, you tend to have to explain things. So what does President Trump do under a circumstance like that? What would Mark do? That's the way I look at it. First of all, I dismiss most of it and say, wow, you memorized a lot of lines there, Joe, spewing one out after another. That's, I guess, why you were there 7 weeks at Camp David. Well, let me help you out. And then I pick 3 or 4 and address them. It's the best you can do. That's why he's going first. But they're pumping him up. They're getting him to memorize certain things. They're giving him one-liners to throw out there. And so that is what you're going to see. So that's why I say, so what is this? Let me ask you a question, a serious question. You can get rid of these two. Let me ask you a question. No matter what happens on that debate tomorrow night, is that going to change your opinion? Oh, all of a sudden the border's secure. All of a sudden he's taking action on anti-Semitism. All of a sudden he's reversed course on energy. All of a sudden nothing. There's literally nothing this man can say that won't change my mind that he is diabolical and detestable. Now, I know who they're playing to, the people who can't make up their minds, who are on the, on the sidelines, we're not sure, what they call the two negatives or two haters, that is, they don't want to vote for either of them and so forth. I got it. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to learn nothing from this debate. Nothing. Doesn't mean it's not going to have an effect. It's not so much substance that matters anymore when people are watching these things, although it has an impact. It is pretense. It is supposition. It is projection. It is characterization. In other words, things that you would do in a commercial or things you would do otherwise. But again, this is just Mark dreaming it up. If I were the moderator, I would ask questions that require serious answers.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.